Ah, so I cut things off just as I was getting to an airship. Guess we're leaving the dungeon now? I would call this contrived, but we're worn down enough that I'll take it. Not too sure why Rydia is against flying an enemy airship. Are we worried about getting killed by our own allies or something? Haven't we walked into more than enough traps to not worry about that sort of thing anymore? I don't think it matters what the ship is called so long as we can fly it out of here. Not that we have any plans for what we're going to do next according to the story at the moment. I feel like the vague plan of trying to grab the crystals again before Golbez can use them has failed too many times for us to bother continuing that line of thought. Anyway, we're underground at the moment. That was a bit of an abrupt shift from one map to the next. I suppose that drop in the Tower of Babel was a bit further than I thought. Well, we haven't been shot down, so I assume the dwarves don't give a damn that a seemingly hostile airship is flying near their home. Anyway, time to save. We'll keep things rolling, but dear God, I really didn't enjoy our second time in the Tower of Babel, or the road to get in there in the first place. And I'm sorry to say it's not the worst dungeon design in the game. I think we already know which one that is. Sorry, didn't mean to skip over that one. My fingers slipped. An old coot, huh? What a surprise. Someone's death was exaggerated in this game. Again, I understand what they were going for with the arrow thing, but it just didn't work the way they had hoped. It makes sense, but it's just not fun to go through. Which is a good way to sum up Final Fantasy II for me. I know, unfair to say since I'm never going to LP it, but... Pretty sure I already grabbed everything from in here. I'm just trying to remember the layout of the place so we can get to the infirmary and confirm which of the two noble sacrifices isn't sticking at the moment. Hello there, Sid. You're looking pretty good considering where you were in that explosion. I'm gonna assume he's complaining for the sake of having something to say while staying in bed. Well, interesting change of pace that he initiated the conversation instead of us having to walk to him like everyone else. Though, considering some of the other false deaths in this game, it's hard to feel pleased by this. I mean, sure, it's nice to see him again, since he's able to bounce off of every other character better than anyone else, but it's not like he's going to join the party ever again. He's gonna be a non-player character for the rest of the game. Hey, just because she uses a whip as a weapon doesn't mean she's in a relationship with the white-clad ninja who has a way of pissing people off. Huh. I didn't know that. I was just sticking to land because I wanted landmarks instead of getting lost. Not because I knew we had some kind of limitation in where we could fly. Well, those armored nurses aren't very good at restraining their patient. I suppose this is supposed to be a chuckle moment, but we already had the bit of Edward moving despite being bedridden to help us in a major story moment. Sure, Sid is less obnoxious than Edge, but does he really need to steal a few character story tropes from Edward just like Edge does? This is just... ugh. Really feels like they gave this game too many characters to work with, and had it run for too damn long considering the thinness of the plot. If they thinned the cast and cut some of the story bits, I'd probably have more fun with the experience overall. As a side note, just how is Edge contributing to this construction, and why is everyone else in the party just watching? It's not like Sid is using any engineers here, so the more hands he gets to do the various tasks, the better, since it's not like he's expecting any attention to detail from these guys. The hell? Do you mean to tell me we had another false death for the same damn guy? Have I mentioned that this game is absolutely horrifically bad at building any kind of drama after Tella's death? They just throw crap in there for the sake of it, as if they're trying to figure out what does and doesn't work. It's understandable, this was their first time doing something like this, and they definitely learned quite a few lessons after this game, but still, this definitely did not age well. There we are. Kind of funny that the item store has two different people simply because the game doesn't want to bother with us scrolling through the item choices. Well, that should do it for supplies, at least for now. Now to get our MP back with a bit of rest, and then we'll be nice and ready for whatever the game throws at us, regardless of if I'm all that attentive or not. I'm sorry to tell you, we've been equipped with better than what this store can offer for a good long while now. So apparently I didn't actually grab everything from in here. Was this tower in the Dwarven Castle not available earlier on or something, and I just didn't remember? And look at that! Edge already had that since we first recruited him. I'm not too sure why I would want to give one of our mages a black belt gi. I mean, sure, we don't lose much in terms of magical defense and gain more regular defense along with gaining a bit more attack power, but they're mages in the back row. I'm pretty sure they're more worried about getting hit by spells than physical attacks back there. Well, that chest was certainly a pain in the ass to reach. And that should do it for the chests around here. Sorry, naming way, I'm entirely satisfied with the names of our characters that we started off with, and I have no need to change them. And I doubt I'll ever deviate from the defaults in any of the games that come after this one. Yeah, sorry we didn't come to you first, but I figured we'd see how things had changed here since last time. I'm sorry to inform you that our mission was a complete failure and your men died for nothing. Really? We're reusing the plot idea that our team has to grab one of the crystals. In fact, the last one that the enemy has to grab in it. Why do I have the distinct feeling he's gonna gain it because of us? Please don't tell me it's because of another hostage exchange, or mind control bullshittery. It's bad enough that the bad guys are getting win after win because of complete assballs. Do we really have to turn our heroes into his unintended errand boys until the climax? Just how are you gonna hold them off if you don't have any aircraft to go over the lava? All you have are tanks. Or do you mean to tell me you have a fleet of lava-sailing ships? If so, I'd like to see some of them. Hell, I'm pretty sure the Dwarven Castle is the only place where there's any actual civilization in the underground part of the planet. There's nobody for the dwarves to trade with. There's no point in them developing anything that would let them have any kind of fleet or even a port in this hellish environment. Okay, we got a cave. That might be the one we're looking for, but we'll see, we'll see. There aren't actually that many places we can even go to in the underground, even when we have full mobility, which is a bit interesting. I mean, granted, it was a nice idea for us to switch around from multiple worlds in a single, long, role-player game. But it doesn't feel like the underground has anywhere near as much as the above ground in terms of locations we can go to. And that doesn't give me the sense that the moon, when we get to it, is going to have all that much for us to work with either. Right, this is one of the two special dungeons that we don't strictly need to go through. And, oh dear. Oh dear, we need to have the spell, float to be able to go through here without getting hurt, but neither of our mages know it. Bit annoying, but that's part of the reason why I saved before walking in. Well, at least these evil dreamer things aren't counterattacking us. We're gonna have enough problems trying to travel all over the place when some sections of the ground is just gonna hurt us with every step. Speaking of hurt, look at that. Edge is once again nearly dead and we barely started down here. Again, he's got the best armor he could possibly have at this stage of the game. And yet, he is essentially made of glass. Considering how bad Edge feels in terms of both personality and combat ability for this stage of the game, I definitely wouldn't mind if he was replaced by Edward, even though Edward himself is a bit of a loner. It really says something that the writing managed to make the bard feel like someone I would want by our side, more than the ninja. It also says something about how infrequently I bother using magic, that Edge's bare few magic point attacks aren't really a selling point for him. But then those spells are very MP intensive to the point that they may as well be summons, and he doesn't have the MP to do them all that frequently. Okay, I definitely wasted some turns with Rosa at the moment, and I've been pulling out the big guns with the summons. I'm definitely getting the distinct feeling we weren't meant to enter this place just yet, as if the fact that we haven't learned Float yet and Edge was knocked unconscious with barely any damn time to react wasn't enough of a hint. Ah, well, it's not like there was anything barring us from getting in here, and who knows, maybe taking out these random bastards should level us up some and make us more capable for the actual dungeon we were supposed to go to at the moment. As epic as a summon can seem, it just feels awkward, especially when I'm using them in random encounters. For one thing, everything else just pauses while the animation goes by. That really slows things down. For another, we are bringing down the Wrath of God, but based on our level and the enemy's resistances, regular enemies can potentially survive a hit from them, which kind of lessens their impact overall. They're special, they pretty much always have been to some degree, But still, I can't help feeling in some ways I prefer how Final Fantasy 15 handles summons, since when you send them out, they do obscene amounts of damage when the trigger requirements are met. Anything less than a boss is getting absolutely annihilated, and the surrounding terrain is getting absolutely decimated. I just wish that it felt more like it's in the player's control in that game, rather than it feeling random when summons become available. Anyway, I seem to have taken a bit too long to figure out I should have just left the dungeon. Guess I'm checking online where I was actually supposed to go or something. It's actually kind of surprising how little information the king gave us for how to get where we absolutely need to be. He just mentioned that it was a cave, and there are 3 caves in the underground. Add in the fact that there's no in-game map you can open up, and dear God, it can be annoying to figure out where you're supposed to go next sometimes. Granted, that's a problem with a lot of older games. Hell, is the reason I never LP'd the original versions of Metroid 1 and 2 despite really loving that series. But it kind of feels more forgivable in a role-player game like this than the action platformers for me. Probably because the game doesn't give a damn how long you take to get the job done. The only thing prompting me to get a move on is my own impatience at any given time. Whereas the Metroid games have a built-in scoring system that grades you based on how fast you get things done. So wasting time checking an online guide and trying to ensure you don't get lost feels a bit less acceptable. Whew, it's definitely a good thing we have such a good stockpile of money at this stage of the game. Between the massive stockpile of items I felt the need to grab before excursions, and how much the inn in this place costs, we are just burning through that cash in a hurry. Sure, we're gaining a good amount with every battle we win, but after the last fight we just went through, excuse me for saying my confidence is a bit low.